everyone, and welcome back to my little channel on language and culture, Germanic and Norse respectively. This is Irina if you're seeing me for the first time. I am a historian and teacher, currently in Germany, Romanian by origin, and I have a PhD in Norse mythology. I've also written some interesting stuff about different topics, so if you're interested, I will link my page on the World History Encyclopedia in the description, as well as my academia profile. But anyway, I am also very interested in languages, Germanic languages that is, and I'm going to continue my little series on Germanic languages compared, and today let's talk about love. Okay, so love has to do with the, among other things, the German word Liebe, with a lot of relatives in multiple Indo-European languages, so from Russian to Sanskrit, because they have a common origin. We have a Proto-Indo-European root, which gave us some terms in Old Germanic. It originally meant something like to care for and to desire, so it had both meanings. All right. In Old High German, for example, interestingly, love also meant fortune and joy. And if we look at several examples from different languages, we're going to find stuff like lieb in German or lief in Dutch, same word in Afrikaans, and lieb in Yiddish. And we also have a word lief in English, by the way, but it is very archaic nowadays. In Old Norse, we have ljúfur, which gave us ljúfur, so almost the same Icelandic word, and ljuv, for example, in Swedish, meaning dear or sweet. Okay, so like I said, we have several Proto-Germanic roots. Another one also related to this whole story of love and beloved is a root in Proto-Germanic which meant to praise or to admire, which makes total sense because, you know, if you have strong feelings for someone, you must definitely also share some deep appreciation, admiration and respect towards them. All right, so we have lob, for example, in German, and lof in Dutch, and lov in Swedish, which, by the way, also means permission. All right, so yeah, in German you would say ich liebe dich. You can also say ich hab dich lieb. And if you want to insist on the romantic component of your feelings, you can say ich bin verliebt. Ich bin in dich verliebt. Yeah, so using the preposition in. On the other hand, in Dutch, also small differences here. So if you want to say like the more generic I love, so not only for people, but also for objects or for activities of the sort, you can say ik hou van jou. From the verb houden, which is to hold or to have an opinion about something. I hold you dear. I think it's in this sense. On the other hand, if you want to insist on this romantic component, you can say ich heb je lief. It's the same as the German ich hab dich lieb. And you could also say, although I don't really think it's that common, ich bemin je. This has to do with a term which we can also find a lot in medieval German. It is minne, which is a special type of love, of romantic love, courtly love especially. So it is that love which was expressed by these court poets who used to write very intricate poetry to the noble women. Very exciting word because in Old High German, so in Althochdeutsch, it actually meant remembrance. So it comes from a word which meant remembrance, and this has to do with an Old Indo-European root meaning to think, as a matter of fact. And we can find in Swedish, for example, minnas, which means exactly this, to remember. And another derived term is also the word munter. In German, or munter, depends on what language you choose to pronounce it, because we can find it in a lot of Germanic languages, meaning lively, awake, alert, so with a sharp mind. So it's also this component about the mind, yeah, which makes me think, all right, love wasn't necessarily, so at least looking at these terms, wasn't necessarily perceived as something having to do with the heart, as we tend to do nowadays. It also had this more rational component attached to it, or at least a dimension having to do with the mind. Okay, some other stuff I would like to share with you is maybe the verb to love in Scandinavian, and here we have, well, depending again which language you choose, we have älska, jag älskar dig, would be in Swedish, I love you. Jag älskar dig would be in Danish, and in Norwegian, almost. Jag älskar dig, it would be in Icelandic, so they all come from the same Old Norse word älska, which means, like the Old Indo-European root, to care for someone or something. It might have something to do with another verb, alla, which means to nourish or to feed. It would also make sense, yeah, so to feed like emotionally, although I am not 100% sure about this connection. All right, and we have the word for love. So this was only the verb, and we have the word for love, which, yeah, again stems from an Old Norse word. So depending on the language, yeah, you have kärlek in Swedish, kärlighet in Danish, kärleki in Icelandic, or kärlighet in Norwegian. So the Old Norse word would be kärlek. I think it has to do with carus from Latin, and if you split the word, so the ending and this beginning stemming from Latin, most probably, this could translate something like on good terms, yeah. So in the sense of affection, also friendship, so not necessarily something very romantic. In Old Norse, there was another word for affection except for this one, ost, which in the form of est was also a term in English meaning kindness or pleasure. Again, not used today, it's very archaic. This has to do with a Proto-Germanic root, which in its turn is derived with that prefix, is derived from a verb, unana, meaning to grant. And if you want something close to it as an example, well, you can think of a verb derived in German, derived from it, gönnen. Yeah, so gönn mir das Vergnügen, grant me the pleasure, indulge me. All right, and then in Scandinavian languages, we also have the verb unna in Swedish, or une in Danish, and unne in Norwegian. So again, it's something like to allow yourself to do something, you know. Jag unnade mig en ledig eftermiddag. So I allowed myself, I granted myself, bestowed upon myself a work-free afternoon in this sense. Okay, so I guess these were the terms I wanted to share with you on this topic, love. If you know the term for I love you or love in other languages, please feel free to leave me a comment and to share your thoughts on the topic. Comments are always welcome. Again, if you're interested in more stuff related to Germanic languages compared, or to topics on culture, please like and subscribe and help my channel grow. Wish you all the best, and see you soon.